the problem for Inter is that on some days the weather will be too humid or the moon will be in the wrong phase, and for whatever reason they don't know how to play soccer. Welcome back, Paisans. Happy holidays. It's your favorite Serie A Italian podcast back for another spectacular episode. These past 2 match weeks have been quite the show. 3 teams at the top in Milan, Napoli, and Inter begin to carve out their own 3-horse race at the top, while Roma, Bologna, and Como are all dropping crucial points in their campaigns to surprise the world. Doomsday is looking a lot more like reality for new managers in Palladino and Vanoli, in Atalanta and Fiorentina. And don't look now, but DDR, Daniele De Rossi, has Genoa surging as Il Grifone are undefeated in their last 5 matches. What's going on, Paisans? I'm your host today, Logs. I'm here with my co-host, Vos. We are again missing Mats. Mats MIA. Don't know where he is, but we will be sure to cover it all without him. Vos, how are we feeling?
Feeling good. Yeah, sorry we missed last week, guys. We had a couple of flakers. Last-minute flakers. Won't be naming
Not to
any
be
names there.
named, not to be
But
named.
we're back. We did miss a lot last week, though. So I just want to quickly run us through that here, Lokes. I guess I'll start with this.
After you, sir.
First thing that happened, I want to talk Coppa Italia a little bit because there was, I guess everything kind of went as planned for the most part. So nothing new there, but just to walk you guys through it. Juve beat Udinese, Atalanta beat Genoa, Cagliari barely lost to Napoli. It was 1-1 into PKs. I think it was 9 PKs were taken or something like that.
Vanya with a banger.
Scored a crazy one. There were some insanely good penalties taken, but Napoli ultimately went through there. Inter handled Venezia 5-1. Bologna beat Parma, and then kind of the surprise one was Lazio beating Milan. Notably in that one, Lazio was at home because this goes back to where you finished last season, so I think that's notable. And that's also on the back of Milan beating Lazio in the league, which is interesting.
It's always tough to go back to back.
Yeah, it's always weird. I feel like it very rarely does it go like the same team wins twice.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely.
Mm-hmm.
But forward looking now, we kind of know what the matchups are going to be in February for the next round. This is the quarterfinal, right?
It'll be the quarterfinal.
Quarterfinal, yeah. So we've got Lazio at Bologna, Juve at Atalanta on one side of the bracket, and then the other side, Inter is going to be facing the winner of Roma against Torino. That game's happening in January. And then Napoli are going to face the winner of Como Fiorentina. That game is also happening in January to decide who they're going to be playing. So that's Coppa Italia. If you guys missed it, there was actually some really good games there. Obviously, a lot of goals scored, so that was really fun. And then going back to match week 13, mostly business as usual. A couple notable things I just want to pull out here. Napoli beat Roma. That was a really important game. We had kind of talked about Roma needing a statement game. So this was kind of a Roma not getting
opportunity lost.
Yeah, opportunity lost. Good way of saying it, Logs. And then the other one is Cremonese beat Bologna. And that was off of us gassing up Bologna. Logs had finally become a pro Bologna guy. And then his guys in Cremonese, I had to give it to him. Jamie Vardy actually had a brace in that game. So a little bit of a stumble for Bologna, but Cremonese still surging. They're in 9th place, and that's really still is a story that I think we've gotten away from a little bit.
Yeah, I think we'll touch on it. We're gonna jump right into the material for the match week 14 we're in now. We have a ton to say today, guys. Yeah. So we're just gonna jump right in. I think that the points that Vos just made we'll certainly cover now. But game of the weekend here, at least for the pod, for Calcio Culture, Juve go to Naples, go to Napoli, and they drop points once again. Not just 2 points, they drop all 3. Napoli with a 2-1 win. Hojlund with a brace. Hojlund and David Neres firing on all cylinders. Yildiz single-handedly trying to keep them in this game. He gets a goal as well. But Juve, not up to stuff these days. Napoli keep on rolling.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with Juve. I know we have it written the other way, but I think Juve is a better place to start. In this one, Spalletti did something a little bit different. He went 3-5-2, Yildiz, Contrasau up top, midfield 3, Thuram, McKinney, Locatelli.
Which I don't hate. I don't hate this because when I was looking at the lineups pregame, given the injuries that Napoli have, I thought the right idea was to load up the midfield. And
I agree.
Absolutely blow up the 2-man midfield that Napoli's running. So I thought that this was the right decision. Let me just put that out there.
I would agree with you. And I watched this game actually today because I watched the replay. And I thought, okay, I understand what he's trying to do, because what happened was Yildiz was kind of playing more as like a false 9 to make it more of like a diamond midfield. And then theoretically, then you're overrunning the midfield 2 that Napoli has. For whatever reason, that didn't really ever happen, and Juve almost just conceded possession. We're really looking to play on the counterattack, but the problem is Yildiz coming in. Conchesau is your outlet, who's like 5'5", not really fast. Like I wouldn't even consider Yildiz fast, really. Like he's a counterattacking player, but he's not a stretch to field player. And basically they got played off the park, I would say the entire game, but especially in the first half. And Spalletti fully abandoned this at the end of the first half, went to a 3-4-3 with Yildiz, Jonathan David, and Conchesau. I'm just double checking who he took off. He took off Juan Cabal. Yeah, so he took off Juan Cabal, pushed McKennie to the right wing back, Cambiasso swap sides, go to left wing back, went back to his 3-4-3. It's not really working. I think this was probably the worst Juve game of the year. I think that might be a little crazy because it's Napoli, and like I think the result paints it in a little bit better light than it was. I mean, the one goal came off of a pretty slick counterattack, I will say that. But that was the only opportunity they had, and I don't like the Coop Miners left center back experiment. I'm very much over it. I don't understand the point of using him as a left center back if you're not going to get a lot of offensive output out of him. And we've seen over the last several games of him playing there, he gets exposed, and teams are looking to play against Coop Miners. And I think it was the first goal. I'm spacing out which goal it was. David Neres just destroyed him, and David Neres destroyed him the entire game. And this is a theme now. Fiorentina, they did the same thing. Moise Kean was destroying him. And I haven't seen anything from Spalletti yet that's really new. That's really, like, obviously the Coop Miners thing is new and creative. I don't like what I'm seeing. I thought Spalletti was going to say, let's go to my classic 4-3-3, something like that, and kind of like, we're going to make this work within my system. He hasn't really done that. It's not really getting better, and I feel worse about Juve right now than I think I have the whole season.
Well, the reason why it's not so crazy to say that this might be the worst Juve game is not that it was the outright worst product on the pitch, but we are now 14 games into the season, and we have not gotten any better. We are still tinkering around. Spalletti does not seem to have a good handle of this roster, of this locker room, and especially going against a Napoli team where they've now devolved back into the style of play, especially for this game, with given the injuries, to something that Spalletti was running himself with a two-man midfield at Napoli. You would have think that he would know better how to deal with this, and it did not seem that he was comfortable at all, that Juve was comfortable at all playing against this what I would say downtrodden Napoli side.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think that, I mean, Mats has said it on here too, like with the pressing, like the pressing is so fake and so slow, and it's almost like it's for show. And then in possession, they are so slow on the ball. Like when it's so bad, and like they lack so much creativity. And on paper, like Manuel Locatelli is having this like great season, being like this extremely progressive player, but like he doesn't put the ball in like situations to then like create something. Like he might be progressing,
that's been his MO.
Yeah,
dude.
Definitely.
He's on the ball a lot. And he makes a ton of passes. So on paper, yeah, it's gonna look great. But when you watch the product, there's not a lot of value add from the actions.
That was one thing. And then the other thing is I'm kind of sick of the Wes McKennie hate. And I've kind of been
that way for forever.
I've kind of been a part of that. But like I'm at the point now where he does everything for this team. Like he plays every position he's asked, and his match rating wasn't great in this game, but I don't think he played terribly. He scores goals for this team. He had an assist in this game, and they're probably going to let him walk in the summer. And it's just like, over the last 4 years, has he not been one of the most important players to this team?
I don't think anybody who's watched Juve can deny that.
At the very least, I don't think he should be in Juve's best 11 by any means. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But you have to keep this guy around just because of what he does, in my mind.
No, he's their Swiss Army knife, and he plays in the spots where, unfortunately, Juve finds themselves in a lot of tough spots from a matchup perspective.
And injury perspective.
And he fills in wherever they need. I'm sure if they needed a center back and they were in a pinch, Wes McKennie, I'd rather put there than Coop Miners at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, the last thing I do want to say about like the Spalletti, kind of like what happened here that I did kind of like, the Locatelli, Thuram McKennie, Yildiz diamond. If you go to a back four, I actually really like that. I think that's very balanced. I think you have a lot of different things you can do there. Will Spalletti do it? I don't think so. I think part of the reason he hasn't gone to a back four is he doesn't trust his defense. I mean, even with Bremer, is it good? Is the defense even good at this point?
Bremer would be making a difference here.
Yes, for sure. But like, how good is the defense?
I mean, let's not forget that Pierre Kalulu won a Scudetto at right center back.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, let's not forget that. Lloyd Kelly has played way better than
Lloyd Kelly's
last year.
been good. I agree.
So I don't think that that playing them as a back two is out of the question. The problem is then you have your outside backs as a problem because Cambiaso does not want to play defense. And then you're not playing Koop Miners at left back. Maybe Juan Cabal.
Juan Cabal's also not been great. Like, that's the other issue. I'm also ready for Cambiaso to just be benched for a really long time.
You can't.
I've been saying it for a while.
Can't.
I know.
And I think there's some moves over the summer that really have further unallowed Juve to bench him from that spot. But I don't know what fixes this. But from your perspective, is Spalletti the guy? Does Spalletti have it in him to fix this Juve team as it stands right now? Because presumably, how much business are they really going to get done in January? I don't know. I don't foresee a ton of business getting done, especially seeing the amount of money they pumped into this team the last 2 summers. But if it's not Spalletti, then is there anybody that can turn this Juve team around within a material amount of time where it matters for next season, or is this going to persist for seasons to come? And I think I've asked that question already, and I know what side I'm on, but has the last couple of games changed your perspective?
I don't want to jump the gun early on Spalletti. What I will say is that, and kind of what you're alluding to with, like, is this gonna happen, or is this gonna be a couple of years of rebuilding? If Spalletti can't get this turned around by the end of the year, I think this is going to be a long project. Like, if he can't do it, I don't think anybody can do it apart from maybe Antonio Conte, and I don't see him coming to Juve pretty soon. So that's kind of my barometer.
Define do it. What does that mean? What does that mean to officially turn this team around?
I would say turning this team around, because I don't think they're good enough to make Champions League football this year. I'm not even sure they're good enough to make European football this year. I think Como is much better than them at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
You might disagree with me on that. Like, I don't feel good about them playing SAS even. Like these are the teams around them. So Como's in 6th, SAS is in 8th, Juve's in 7th. If they come up against either of those teams, I'm not saying Juve are going to win, period. Like, I'm not going to bet on Juve in either of those games. So what I think, like, a barometer for success is getting better, and then next year you would have to finish in a Champions League spot. Spalletti has not been there long enough for me to say, like, this is going to get better or it's not going to get better. I like that he is trying different things. I don't think they're necessarily the right things to be trying, but at least it's something else. And the point I'm trying to make is that, like, I think Spalletti can do this. He's a very successful coach. He's been successful in this league. He's also improved players tremendously in this league. So if he can't do this over the next 6, 12, 18 months, I think it's something with the squad, right? That's how I would be thinking about this. And if it's something with the squad, you just poured all this money into it. That is going to be like a 4 to 5 year rebuild, because not only did you pump money into it and you're kind of fucked financially, you also got rid of all your young players. So you don't really have anything you can, like, piece together. And very simply, you just built your squad incorrectly.
I'm fully with you. I don't know why you think I'd ever talk badly about the little lads by the lake. I would never talk bad about Como. I might do in a couple minutes, but in any case, I don't think this Juve team is built in a way, regardless of the injury woes, that's going to be successful. I don't think at any level there is any type of synergy between the players, and I'm not sure that there is a system to be had there. The fact that Spalletti is a very experienced coach, has won at very high levels, especially in this league, has now decided that his best 11 on the pitch has none of their through and through 9s on the pitch.
True. Good point.
After all of the years of scouting and deciding who they want to go get and spending money on Openda and waiting on Jonathan David to be a free and paying Vlahovic what he's getting paid, the fact that he thinks that their best 11 does not have one of those guys out there, that's a problem in and of itself, right? Then you go to the midfield and you spend $60 million on Koop Miners 2 years ago, and he's not even playing in your midfield, right? We got Wes
that
McKennie.
Has to stop. Like, Koop Miners.
No, it has to.
Has to go either in the front line or you cannot continue to play him at center back. This needs to stop.
But think about that. This new manager coming in and saying, okay, what can I do to fix this team? And none of the guys that you've now brought in specifically to play certain roles are even remotely close to those roles. I think that's where the fundamental issue is, that there is nothing to fix here. This is a broken product.
You could be right.
Maybe that's a very hot take, and maybe Juve turns this around and these guys, get their heads out of their asses. But from what I've seen, from Mata starting last year to Tudor in the last season, now into Spalletti, to me, that's what the problem is. It's fundamentally the skill set of the players not being able to fit into any specific mold, and it may just be broken.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And what I would say to, like, support that is, when you look at the team, And like we always talk about like what good managers do or great managers do. Like there's a couple different things you can do. And a lot of great managers just put players in a position to succeed. And when you look across this team, like you probably say Yildiz is like the only guy that's actually put in an area where it's like he can be successful here. And maybe Locatelli. But I mean, Locatelli, I mean, there's a bigger discussion to be had about Locatelli. I don't want to have it right now if he's Juve, like Juve level type player, because I think that's legit. But like Thuram, you're not getting the most out of. Obviously, Coop Miners, you're not getting the most out of. Contrasao, here and there you are. Openda, David, you're not getting the most out of. Cambiasso is literally wasting away to nothingness. Juan Cabal, kind of whether it hits fault or is not. Kalulu was right wing back for half the season. Now he's at right center back, which is probably his best role. So I'll give him that. But it's just,
and then West can play wherever he wants.
Yeah, exactly. There's just very little to like hold on to say that this is going well, apart from Yildiz. I mean, Yildiz is the only reason that they're kind of doing okay. That's it. That's literally it.
1,000%. 1,000%. But we've harped on Juve, and I get it. It'll be a very long time before one of us is right, before one of this is proven. But I think one team that has proven themselves, and especially in the last couple of weeks, is the flip side of this tilt in Napoli. This Napoli team has been firing on all cylinders, even with the injury woes that I would say rival, if not are worse than Juve's right now.
Oh my God.
They're still finding ways to win.
Way worse. What are you talking about?
They're still finding ways to win.
I mean, we do need to just say like who's injured, because it's basically all starters. Zombo, Alex Moret, who was a starter at the beginning of the year, although Vandra's been good. Lukaku, Billy Gilmore, Gutierrez, KDB, Lobotka. All out. Those are all like starting 11 caliber players.
Did you say Lukaku?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, at this point, if I didn't really know the roster that well, I would say this is a skeleton crew that's being played.
Yeah. And I mean, I think so in this game, what they were kind of forced into, because the Lobotka injury happened in training, it was, right? Because Billy Gilmore was left, Lobotka was left, McTominay was left in terms of like starting 11 players. Lobotka hurt, Billy Gilmore had surgery. So in this game, the Lobotka role went to Elif Elmas, which is just like insane, because when he won the Scudetto with Napoli in 22-23, he was a winger. Then he was on Torino and Leipzig as like an attacking midfielder. And now he's being used as like a low-lying playmaker on Napoli. And not only is he playing, he played really good. And like they overpowered a Juve midfield that had 3 guys in it. And just McTominay and Elmas just got it done. And Napoli is just getting this done, like with different guys coming in, change of formation, like what we said that we thought that they should do. Going back to last year, that was some of the best of Antonio Conte. And for me, I thought this was a big statement game. And because with the injuries, Conte could come out and say we're injured. That's why we couldn't compete. This, that, the other thing. No, they take it to Juve and they win 2-1 at home. And
they also weren't shaken by the fact that they went to penalties against Cagliari midweek, right? So mentality there. The players are fully in this. Hojlund and David Neres are they the best second? I would say I'm going to say second best duo in the league right now, because Inter have been scoring goals nonstop. So it doesn't matter who they have up top as their best two. They've got a lot of options, but the way that these guys have been connecting is so reminiscent of the Kvaratskhelia Lukaku days.
Yeah, it is.
That really weren't so long ago.
Or Osimhen, yeah.
Yeah, I mean this Wombo combo here in front of Zombo, I had to put that in there, is working out tremendously well. And it's a combination that I'm not sure I would have called for to be this successful or this efficient as early on in this season. But David Neres gets playing time, he starts clicking. Hojlund comes back from the Prem, he gets his confidence back, he starts clicking, he's not injured anymore. I mean, the fact that they have been able to put up the numbers that they have over the last 4 or 5 games, I would say, where clearly, like teams now know the game plan. Yeah. The offense is going to run through these two guys, and they continue to show up, is incredibly promising for what's to come for the rest of the season for Napoli, because they have a formula. It works. It's tried. It's tested. It's true. And they could easily bring this Napoli team to the Scudetto on the shoulders of just those 2 guys.
Yeah, and I think even like on the back of that, I think Noah Lang has been good. He was crying out for playing time, getting it. He didn't get on the score sheet or the assist sheet in this one, but the second Hojlund goal came off of Noah Lang challenging Wes McKennie for a header, and Wes McKennie basically assisting Hojlund, unfortunately for him. But that's significant. And I think the other thing is like Scott McTominay now, his role has slightly changed, coming a little bit deeper down the field, more defensive. So they're relying on these guys, and now they're stepping up, and that's really big. And coming out of this game, like my big question for you, is there any reason to say they are not the best team in the league by like a significant margin at this point? Like this season, when we talked about statement wins, like Roma need a statement win. Statement wins. Fiorentina, they beat Fiorentina, beat Inter, beat Atalanta, beat Roma, beat Juve. They did lose to Milan and they did lose to Bologna. They now have the third most goals scored, third in goal differential as well. Like,
I'm not going to sit here and say the margin's that wide, but I'm not going to say there's a better team. From top to bottom, is there a better team? No. Is the margin that crazy? Also, no, because I don't think that they have the best offense and I don't think that they have the best defense, but the combination of the two is certainly true. And so I think that they have the opportunity to widen that gap.
Yeah.
My concern always falls back on how many games they're playing and whether Conte can now manage this team with all these injuries through 2 or 3 competitions. But from a resume perspective, is it not the best resume in the league? 100%.
Yeah, and I think that point you just made, I'm just looking something up, sorry. The point you just made on like the schedule, that's really important now. Because not only was like Antonio Conte, it was kind of like, can he compete in all these competitions? Like, should they compete in all these competitions? And now we're kind of at the point where they're depleted. They have Champions League midweek. They have Supercopa next week. Do you start like do you fully rotate the squad for Champions League? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh my God. Yeah. This team, for better or for worse.
So right now they are in the like qualification spot by 3 points. So it's like you kind of, how important is it to get to that knockout stage? I think it is important, even if you get bounced in the first round of the knockouts, because you do get some more money. I think Conte kind of probably thinks he needs it for his legacy. You would think, right?
The difference between him getting knocked out in this stage versus the knockout to me doesn't mean anything for the legacy. And this is also the point in time. I mean, how many games do they have left in the Champions League?
Oh, that I don't know. Hey,
how many
keep talking. I'll come back.
If you can tell me how many games they've played, they have 8 games in the first section of the Champions League now. How many games have they played?
They have 2 more in the first section. So they got Benfica this week, and then they have Copenhagen.
So I mean, those are 2 winnable games, even if you do rotate the squad
Chelsea.
here.
So Chelsea.
No, Chelsea's Atalanta.
They have Chelsea too? No, they have Chelsea too. So they have 3 more games.
3 games.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chelsea game makes it a little tough, especially being only 3 points ahead of the cutoff line there. I think you rotate the squad and whatever happens, happens. That's how I'm dealing with this, because you can't put where you are in Serie A right now with how talented you are compared to the Serie A field versus the talent in the Champions League field. I think you've got to rotate some eggs here. I think you got to put more eggs in the Serie A basket, because the other thing that I'm thinking about as we're talking about this is the way that I think about Napoli in this context of the Serie A is they're an elite force. But then I take that Napoli team and I look at that squad in the grand scheme of the Champions League, and they're not even remotely part of the top 8 teams. In my
I don't know. I think 100% healthy. I would kind of disagree.
Maybe. But you also have to look at the experience side of this. How many of these guys are as experienced as a Bayern, a PSG, Real Madrid,
Lukaku
Man City
played in a Champions League final. Kevin De Bruyne has won a Champions League. They had they had the best defense in Europe last year. Yeah, but at some point these guys are going to come back. No?
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't get the same elite vibe that I get when I talk about them in the context of the Serie A. And so, I am the king of punting on competitions, but I do think that this is a optimal situation to be like, you know what? This is UCL, Champions League, not our thing. Serie A, totally our thing. Conte, one game a week Conte, that sounds sweet.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up this season. Let's get another Scudetto under our belt and go from there. Because you are only a couple of players away from being elite across Europe, in my opinion, but I don't think it's right now.
I mean, I think it's health related. I think they're elite across Europe. It's just if they need everybody to get healthy. Like, their injuries have actually been insane this year. But to get back to my question, kind of give you my answer, I think they're the best team by a lot still, especially since Rachmani got back. Since Rachmani got back,
has been
5-3-1 across all comps since he's come back. Obviously, have a lot of guys coming back from injury at some point. And to wrap on like our Europe thing, I was looking at their schedule. So I think you play the Dogs against Benfica. That's on Wednesday. You then have Udinese on Sunday. Like, I think you can play like a little bit of like the B team and then rotate in the good guys, kind of like they did against Cagliari. Rotate the good guys in if it's not going well. Then you punt on the Supercopa because you got Milan, and it's like, do not worry about that competition. Then you got Cremonese. Then you get a week break to Lazio. So, like, I think that is the right trajectory. Put your eggs in the basket against Benfica. If you can get that one done, you'll probably get by Copenhagen. And then if you get 6 points out of those two, does Chelsea even matter? Probably not. No. So I think that's probably the way I would try to approach it.
I don't hate it. I don't know if that's how Conte's thinking, but I don't hate that.
No, he's definitely not thinking that. He's like he's one game ahead, yeah.
He's a madman. But in any case, no, Napoli in a really, really good spot here. I mean, you really got to give it to them. And if there's anybody out there that want to use injuries as an excuse, I would say it's them. They're allowed.
Yeah, still not.
They're not doing it at all. Still hot. Still hot. Going to another team that is incredibly hot. The other side of Milan that I don't usually like to talk about, but Inter Milan 4-0 bashing of Como this past weekend, to the point where Czech Fabregas is speaking nonsense in his post-game interview. But Inter, again, 4-0. That's in the last 2 games. They've won now 6-0 on aggregate. In this game, Lautaro with a goal, Thuram with a goal, Hakan another banger, and Carlos Augusto rounded out at 4. They're Inter 4-1 in their last 5 matches. This is a squad that's getting hot at the right time, and honestly, this is what we expect of an Inter squad. They're going to have really, really bad performances where they look like they don't even want to play the next game, and they'll have performances like this where they run teams off the park. And it's just the expectation at this point. It's one or the other, and it's very rare that we see a middle average game from them.
Yeah. I mean, at this point with them, it's almost like they have a line drawn at like Juve, Napoli, Milan, maybe Roma, where it's like it's like full on yips. And then below that, they just show up and like, we're going to fuck these guys. Like, it literally does not matter for the rest of the table. And that's pretty much what happens every week, other than like occasionally they have these slip ups where they're not paying attention. But even in the games where they have these like lapses in defending, they usually play well against the quote unquote lesser competition. And that's what we're getting. Like 4-0.
Look what they did against Venezia in the midweek. 5-1 Venezia.
This is what they do at home. Like, they fuck people at home for whatever. For a lot of reasons. I think the other thing that we're kind of seeing is like now Lautaro is getting hot. Like, he's scoring endlessly now. And in this game, it was like a very vintage one touch off of a cross Lautaro finish. That's a very difficult finish. And like at the beginning of the year, it was Lautaro's not really doing much, but Thuram was scoring. Then he got hurt, and Boni was scoring, and then Esposito was scoring, and now Lautaro's scoring. So they've done such a good job in constructing this team to where if one guy's not doing it, it doesn't really matter because you have all these other good guys that can come in and play and be just as good. And that's kind of what gets me to the midfield point. Kivu's now trusting Zielinski, and he's starting to play really well. He's come up with some goals. In this one, they went Hakan, Barella, and Zielinski. Zielinski's kind of been forced into the Hakan role a little bit. Didn't really go well. He's now playing that 8, and I think it's starting to go well for him. So now you have Sucic and Zielinski and Mkhitaryan who can all play that role. And like, this is just spiraling. And then Luis Enrique is now playing well. He had an assist in this game and just overall was really good, kind of replacing what Dumfries was doing, because Dumfries has been out of the team. And when you just go and look at like how you form a squad, beautifully done. This is how you do it. They have 4 guys in the top 10 in goal contributions.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous. And Federico DiMarco, I think, is 8 or 9 goals, something like that. Let me double check 1 second.
But I mean, to your point, to get like how, and that's just
7.
their forwards,
7
right?
goal contributions. Like, it's
and
just ridiculous.
That's off your left wing back. Like, and then you're not even remembering the fact that Hakan, I think, has like 7 or 8 goal contributions, and they're all bangers.
Yeah, he also has 7. Yes, correct.
So it's like you plug one hole, another one pops open. It's like
that
it's like
is
the
why
worst.
They're so hard to beat.
It's the worst game of whack-a-mole that you've ever played. The problem for Inter is that on some days the weather will be too humid or the moon will be in the wrong phase, and for whatever reason they don't know how to play soccer.
Yeah.
But on the days that they all know how to play soccer, you try to stop one of them, you're gonna get eaten alive by the other side. And it's kind of like this is exactly the amalgamation that I thought Roma was going to have last year and in that dragon approach when we thought Pellegrini was going to be all this in a bag of chips and Dybala was going to have the season of the century and Sule was coming in. Like, that's what this team really is you have Marcus Thuram and Lautaro, who are just perennial goal scorers, have been around and just have a nose for the goal. If they're not on their game, then maybe it's a young guy like Esposito or Boni coming in and adding that extra oomph. Or sometimes it's Hakan from the top of the box with an absolute screamer top of the net, right? So this is a really, really, really hard team to game plan for, and it's almost impossible. You almost just have to play your game and hope for their worst game ever.
Which is what Como did. Let's go to them now, because to be fair, like they didn't change for Inter. in going into halftime, it was 1-0. The goals then came in the 59th. So it was 2-0 up until the 80th minute. And when you look at it like that, it looks a little bit better for Como, right? Like you go 80 minutes and you lose 2-0 basically in those 80 minutes. I think what they'll look back at is like they didn't have a ton of great opportunities, but at the same time, like Como's not at Inter's level yet. In a game like this, I don't think is really necessarily much to write home about. They don't take it too hard. Definitely like reflect, like what can we do better? But I like what Fabregas said. If you want to just like mention that.
Well, so Czech Fabregas and his post game interview came out and pretty solemnly was just like he'd rather lose 4-0 than lose 1-0, but play the way that they played. Play aggressive, go after it, go for the win, no matter how far back they were. And to your point about being down 2-0 at 80 minutes, we can just call that a full game. 2-0 to Inter isn't that bad. So if you're pumping 11 guys forward at that point, you're going to concede, right? My take though is, and again, I love the passion, I love the fire. There's no denying what Fabregas is building there with the management, with the owners and Como. I mean, it's a phenomenal project. What they're doing off the field, I think, is actually great as well. We can get into that in a different day. But the problem that I have with it is you can't let the game get that far away from you. I think that's a type of game like this can kill momentum. So I'd be very interested to see how they come out in this weekend, match week 15, because if for whatever reason this 4-0 result gets into the head of what's a pretty young roster, let's not forget, if it gets into their head in the wrong way, they might have problems. Right? This is a very hot Como team, a very young Como team. So we don't know how they react to certain results and to certain, there's a word I'm looking for, hardship. Is that the word I'm looking for today?
We can use
certain hardships that we haven't seen them rebound from yet. So it's a big match week 15. I won't chalk this up as to how good I think Como is because I think they're phenomenal. I don't think a 4-0 result is anything resembling of what they can do. It'll just be interesting how they rebound. That's all I'm looking at.
And they've got Roma, and I think they're getting Roma at a right time. And I from everything I've seen from this Como team, I would say they're going to bounce back. Like, I'm not really worried about them. And to what Fabregas did say, I kind of like it. He is fully like the pioneer in establishing what this club is going to be about. And he's a Barcelona product. And the whole Barcelona thing, Johan Cruyff, I'd rather win 5-4 than 1-0. And this is just, it's saying that exact thing, essentially. And that's how he wants to build this club and these players. And I think that's the right approach to this, like, especially with the young players, because what that's telling them is you did what I wanted you to do. Like, we just weren't good enough yet. So it's continue to do that. Don't be down on yourselves. Like, we have a way we want to play and it works most of the time. And I mean, the Roma game is going to be interesting. Like, at this point, Roma's on a 2-game losing streak. Como, like, they can definitely win that. Como is very good. And we're still at the point now where Nico Paz, 10 goal contributions, number 1 in the league still, which is fucking crazy. But I would just chalk this one up of a bad performance. I don't think anybody played particularly well. I think where they're going to be pretty upset is Morata he got hurt. It looked pretty bad, so I think he's going to be out. The other thing is Hassan Diao did come off the bench and play a little bit, so that's a little bit of an injection into the team. We'll see how he plays because Adai has been really good. Rodriguez has been really good, and obviously Nico Paz has been really good. So his path into the team may be questionable, but I think there's a way you can get all 4 of those guys on the team on the pitch with Morata out if you want to try to do it. So I think Fabregas is going to have some decisions to make, but I'm looking forward to a bounce back game. I think for Roma, like, it's a bad time to get Como. Like, I wouldn't want Como after they had a 4-0 loss. Just based off of everything I've seen about them, I expect a big response.
No, I think Fabregas is going to have them coming out firing. I think that they've awoken the beast here. They've cornered a snake that's gonna bite back.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that they were the San Siro. That is we've been there. Yeah. We know this. Actually, an insane venue to play at.
It's hard to watch the games. I was like, I couldn't even watch the game when we were there.
There was a 5-minute span where I was just watching the Curvo suit. I couldn't focus. It was wild. So I don't know how they do it on the pitch. But the other team that does play the San Siro is the faithful, is the Rossoneri, is AC Milan, and they had a goal fest today, which is not the MO of Milan these past season. Vos, I'll let you talk about this, and I'll just jump in because I've got some excitement.
Yeah, this was, I have a lot that I want to talk about too. This was a really interesting game. So Milan at Torino today. We're recording on the December 8th. This game ended 3-2, 2-0 lead for Torino. Did that go into halftime? No, it didn't. Okay. So Torino took an early 2-0 lead. Nikola Vlasic had a penalty kick off of Tomori being an idiot, which does happen on occasion. Duvan Zapata then scored, had a great celebration, binky in the mouth. We then have Adrian Rabiot in the 24th minute hit. Maybe goal this season so far. It was a banger. Rafael Leao then gets hurt. Christian Pulisic come off the bench, scores 2 goals in the 67th and 77th to secure a 3-2 Milan win. Obviously, the Leao injury is news. I think the bigger news is Pulisic scoring off the bench. And with that, I'll let you start here because there's a bunch of stuff I do want to talk about on the Milan side of things, but I'll give it to you to let you kind of bask in the glory a little bit.
Let me bask, because I haven't really basked this season. I've been trying to keep it a little tame, but off the back of this game, which is nothing for me to be that crazy about, because I think Torino's dog shit, but the way that we got this win, I think, is promising, and I'll say that because we have, up until this point, been a team that does not know how to score more than 1 or 2 goals a game. That's the MO. That's the expectation. It's fine. I've gotten past it. But for us to go down 2-0 and to find ways to get back in this game, anchored off the back of I need the public to understand that this is the guy. Christian Pulisic is the guy. I need that to be understood. I do not think Leao is I'm not saying Leao can't be the guy. Leao's not the guy right now. Christian Pulisic is that for AC Milan, and I think that that's going to have to be the horse that we ride in off into the sunset, because the consistency, the ability for us to rely on Christian has been way, way better than having to rely on Leao from game to game. But again, showing that we can win games, not just going up early and sitting back the entire time, but being on the forefront, going after those goals, having to score more than 1 goal is showing that we have that promise. Now, I do want to share one stat. Christian, and just to hammer home the whole storyline about Christian Pulisic, I'm wearing Captain America's jersey. I had to honor him today, especially with the draw from the World Cup last week. We'll maybe do another episode on that at some point. But the point I want to make here is that Pulisic is now tied again for the lead for the Capocannoniere. He's got 7 goals. He's tied with Lautaro. Christian Pulisic is averaging a goal every 64 minutes played. 64. The next closest in terms of goals per minute, goals per 90, minutes per goal, is Boni.
Yeah.
For Inter at 135 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy about this?
It's wild.
He's tied with Lautaro. Lautaro has 1,000 minutes, 1,054 to be exact. Pulisic before this game had 420. Probably got
maybe 25
like 30
minutes.
games. He got like 30 minutes, right?
Maybe.
He got less than 30 minutes. So in, let's say, 450 minutes, he has the same number of goals as Lautaro. That's ridiculous.
It's wild.
And go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, and for people to come out and be so excited about what Leao had done over his 9 games now, how can you not look at Christian and say that this guy is elite, is the man? Like, I'm tired of the American discount, especially from you, Vos, with you hating on McKennie too.
I'm not hating on McKennie. I used to.
This guy, he's got it. He's got it going on.
He does.
And I'm sick and tired of people discounting him for whatever reason you want. But Pulisic is a top 3 player in this league, and I don't think he's 3 right now.
I think it's to the point where we have to say that's fair. I think part of my problem with Christian, and the reason I'm kind of jumping ship on why I am saying I was wrong. I was championing Leao because I still think Leao is better at more things than Pulisic, yes. But a lot of Christian's goals come off of a result of him being right place, right time. And I think for a long time, I was like, okay, lucky. I'm at the point now where, like, this can't be luck. Like, he gets into great positions to score goals. Both of his goals today, I don't think were like the craziest goals in the world, but he got on the end of crosses basically in the right place. And sometimes he just ends up in the right place and scores a goal. And that is a trait at this point. It isn't luck. And he has continued to show that over the last 3 seasons that he is that guy. I would love a world where him and Leao can play together. And I think we're going to have that this year. In this game, Leao played the number 9 with Nkunku, who kind of went into the Pulisic role. So I think that was Allegri saying, Leao, you're going to fucking figure this out. Like, you have to figure this out. We're going to keep rolling you out there. We're not going to put you in your best spot, which I do like, I have to say. But if Leao is hurt for a while and Santi Jimenez comes back, I think that's probably their best partnership. I'm not liking anything I'm seeing from Nkunku. And I think Santi Jimenez in that number 9 with Pulisic was successful. It probably will be. If I don't know what his injury is, and I should have looked that up and I didn't.
I think it was a groin.
But full credit to Pulisic. I mean, he's the most important player on this team. I'm officially saying it. I know you've been saying it. Yeah.
Come on,
I'm officially saying it.
Pounding the table.
Yeah.
Pounding the table. Oh, it is just incredible. It's incredible stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that this performance up until Christian's sub was incredibly piss poor. It was reminiscent of the Cremonese game at the beginning of the season where we're, again, dropping points. We're Robin Hood. We're dropping points to shit teams in this league, taking it from the top teams, and especially off the back of the other results that came off this weekend. We touched on Juve. We touched on Como. We're going to touch on a couple of other teams. But at what point does the magic run out? That's where I'm sitting uneasy, and I can't, I love sitting atop the table, don't get me wrong, but at some point I feel like this magic just has to end, and it's going to be either we're limping into the end of the season vying for, 3-4, or honestly the magic just never runs out, and this might be one of the most incredible seasons from a manager we've ever seen.
I mean, where I would push back into is it's not magic. Like, this is Allegri. It's
intentional.
This is Allegri.
It's intentional.
And the reason I'm saying it's not magic, Allegri won the Scudetto with Milan. He has won multiple Scudettos with Juventus. Like, this is what he does. Like, we look back at Juve 2.0, and it didn't go well. I would probably say, and I think Mats has come on and said this, or he said this a couple weeks ago, the reason this works is they built a team that fits what Allegri is trying to do, and at Juve, they didn't do that. So there's no reason for this to stop. I mean, this is literally what Allegri does, and he's won Scudettos doing it. It could happen again.
I know. But so today, we have magic out of Christian Pulisic, who I think that his first goal was a bit of a fluke. He, again, right spot, right time, and there was a horrible defense from Torino.
Horrible. Yeah.
The first goal, I think, was a bit of a fluke. The second goal was really, really, really good positioning out of Christian.
I think it was also really bad defending. Somebody not tracking.
It was bad defending, but if you watch Christian's run, he put himself in a great spot.
Yes, he did, of course.
And then obviously we have Rabiot's absolute screamer from actually 40 yards out. So that's how we win today. Then I go back one game in Serie A and I look at the Lazio game, which they very easily could have had a penalty PK to draw us in that game as well. You have the game against Roma where Mike Mignon makes an incredible penalty save. We have the game against Inter, incredible penalty save, right? So there are some points right now where I'm thinking this Cortomuso has to break at some point. We're bending, but it's not breaking. At some point, are we going to break? I think so, unfortunately.
Where I would disagree, because I think those are actually good examples in like what could have gone wrong. But at the same time, they won both those games. If those goals get conceded, you tie Inter, you tie Lazio. And for Allegri, that's what we're trying to do.
That's fine.
We don't need to beat them.
That's fair. That's fair.
So like you're kind of ahead of schedule, and like you're getting kind of like moments of brilliance. And Allegri does rely on moments of brilliance just inherently, right? Because you don't create as many chances.
Well, and you're just going to need that. Any Scudetto run needs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Napoli,
right? We talked about that with Roma. They don't have a statement game.
Yeah.
They don't have a statement moment. Milan is just stacking
the resume. Like and to the point about you saying like Napoli are first by a little bit still. I mean, would you put Milan second? I probably would at this point.
I would put Milan second based on resume. But if I look
on resume
at the roster, obviously Inter is probably second for me. But resume, certainly Milan.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else you want to talk about on Milan? Because I do have one thing.
No, I'll let you wrap this one up. I think I've basked in the glory long enough here. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I feel like the strategy of me keeping myself tame for the most part has been working, so I don't want to lose that momentum.
Fair. All right. My point, I guess it's more of a point that I want to make on this one. When I watched this one today, and Torino went up 2-0, I think I texted you this. Are not built to play from behind. And I don't think Torino have been great by any means, but I thought 100% there is no way Milan wins this game. Like they're not going to create the chances. I just don't see a way where they come back from 2 goals and go and win it. Like maybe level it, but even that was a stretch. As crazy as it might sound, this was their biggest statement to me of the year. Like the games that they've won, it's because the game plan went well. It was Allegri ball to a fucking T, but this was something different. Like they had to come out of their shell. They had to bring the game to Torino, and they did. They scored 3 goals. Like
3
even that's like an accomplishment for an Allegri side. And they did the whole thing from behind, still had defensive solidity. And I think that really matters. And for me, this elevated them. Before this game, I didn't think there was any chance they could win the Scudetto, to be honest with you. I thought they could kind of go into the end, But after this is like one of those games that this is something Napoli would do last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were out of a game and they got back into a game somehow. They were completely out of this game early and somehow got back into it. And that is the type of thing that wins you the Scudetto. Like Inter Milan beating teams they're supposed to beat and not beating teams that they need to beat does not win you Scudettos. This kind of thing is what you need to do to get there, and this was the biggest statement for me.
Well, and I glossed over it, but that was my point as well before, is that this was a way that we are now getting points from what you wouldn't expect out of Allegri ball, right? And so it does show that we can be adaptable, right? It doesn't always have to play into Corto Muso. We can adapt. We can play a little bit differently. Again, you're going to need moments of brilliance. You're going to need a little bit of luck on your side, but who wins the Scudetto without a little bit of luck?
Yeah, no, definitely. And want to move to Torino a little bit?
I think we can quickly touch on Torino. I really don't have any respect for them, but we can touch on them.
That's what we're going with?
I really don't. I don't think that this team is good. I know you tried a little bit at the beginning of the season to support this team and say that, they maybe just need to rotate the squad a little bit. Baroni still got that talent in him. I think Baroni needs to get out of here. I think they need to start fresh at the managerial spot. They need to salvage whatever they can. Let's not get all crazy though. They're still in 12th, which is a very typical.
They're in 16th after today.
Oh, I thought they were in 12th.
No, after today they're in 16th. Yeah,
they're trash.
Yeah, no, I mean
that's a trash result.
I think I am the biggest Baroni supporter I think you will find on planet Earth. I think it's time for him to go. 3 losses in a row. You have a 2-0 cushion on Milan, who want to play defense. You blow that. They're not really getting better. Part of my biggest issue with Baroni this whole year has been, like, what are you trying to accomplish? And when you're up 2-0 at home, you got to get at least a point out of that. Like, especially the area of the table you're in. You just need to be able to. You need to do something from the bench, or it already has to be through your players. If we get into this situation, here's how we maintain this situation. And they did nothing to show me that they're capable of doing that. And going back to the season as a whole so far, I still don't love the player selection. I mean, granted, Duvan Zapata coming back is a big, big plus, but I still don't love what he's rolling out there. I don't love that he's not really changing formations and he's continuing to do the same thing when it's clearly not going well. I don't think this Torino team is great, but you need to be challenging for top 10. And you're not close to being better than, I mean, if we go like, you're not close to being better than Sass. You're playing way worse than Cremonese. Lazio is way better than you. Udinese is way better than you. Atalanta is way better than you. Cagliari is way better than you. Genoa, maybe you should be ahead of.
Maybe.
Parma, I think you're better in. So you have 2 teams that I think you are at this point in time better than, and you're just not getting the most out of this club. And I think Baroni is a good coach. I think he should have a job in this league. This is not the job. And it's time to pull the chute before they get relegated. I mean, right now they are 4 points off the relegation zone, and there's no reason for this team to be there.
I mean, when you look at the roster, right, and we do this often. I know you hate it, but let's just look at it quickly. Like when I look at this,
I'm going to disagree with you a lot of areas.
I'm sure, but I'm going to say a couple of names, and then you're going to be like, "Well, those guys are dog shit," so that this all makes sense. But I put Vlasic and Duvan Zapata as the old man they just can't get rid of. Like they keep sticking around.
I'm not putting those 2 guys in the same category. Duvan Zapata is still really good.
I look at Shea Adams, Lazaro, Coco, and Temeze.
And Maripan.
Quality
Maripan. I would say Aslani. I would say Casadai.
Dude, you know how much I hate Aslani. I cannot stand Aslani. I think he's horrible. But you look at a couple of those other guys, and I think that on paper, that's
really quick. Aslani was kind of directly responsible for at least 1 goal today.
I don't like Aslani. He's terrible. But in any case, I just think that this roster just punches well below their capabilities.
Yes, correct.
That's a managerial problem. Yeah,
it's time to just pull the chute. I think Baroni will get hired elsewhere. This just isn't the right situation for him. I don't know why that is, but I mean, just to wrap, I don't want to spend too much. I don't want to spend more time on Torino, but just to wrap, like looking at what he did at Lazio, elevated Guendouzi, elevated Ravella, elevated Castellanos, elevated Mario Gila, elevated Romagnoli, elevated Nuno Tavares. Yeah, you can kind of go through the whole team. He's bringing everybody back at this point in time. And a club like Torino, part of your strategy needs to be improve players to sell players. And part of that should have been Casadei this year, or it could be anybody, right? Like they had Ricci last year. Before that, it was Bremer. And like you have these guys, if you're not elevating the team, you're not playing good football, you're not putting your team in a place to succeed, it's time to go. That's it.
Out to pasture. Bye-bye.
Should get hired somewhere else. I mean, Thiago Motta, I think this would be an interesting one.
Think about it.
I would think about it. He needs to take a step
Definitely
back.
think about it.
Yeah, so it could be cool. Let's keep it rolling. Another crazy game that I got to get the lead into here. Roma at Cagliari. Like, obviously got to take this one. Cagliari win this game 1-0, courtesy of a goal from Gaetano off the bench. Second minute, 1-0 win for the Islanders. I love this one. The other thing I really got to say is they played Roma off the park. 8 XG to 0.3 XG. This game, if anybody didn't watch it, I would say go back and watch it, because this is what I've been saying about Cagliari since the beginning of the year. On their best day, this is what they're capable of. And this was the first time, I think, this season where it kind of all came together for them to get it. And what even is better than everything for me is Gianluca Gaetano hasn't really been playing that much this season. But that article that I wrote like 3 months ago, I said they got to keep playing this guy. And what do you know? He ends up getting the goal. So I'll give myself
what do you know?
A pat on the back.
Selfless plug. Selfless plug.
Yeah, very selfless. Do you want to start on Cagliari or do you want to start on Roma? I'm good with either.
Keep the ball rolling with Cagliari, because I've got some shit to say about Roma.
Yeah, so for Cagliari, I think this game, what got them to this point. This was the best showcase of like what I've been talking about with this team in terms of they have the personnel to kind of punch above their weight. And I think they were going to get there. Fabio Pisacane has done a phenomenal job, excuse me. And in this one, I think we got the best out of Folorunshu in a midfielder position. He got fouled, which led to the Zelki Celik red card. And he was just pressing into the box, being a very forward-thinking 8. Same thing with Adopo. He had a couple great over-the-top balls that he played.
Adopo.
I'm a big Adopo fan. I think we saw the best out of Borelli in this game. And then two guys that are catching some steam at this point. Esposito and Palestra. I think Palestra has finally broken onto the scene fully at this point. Mm-hmm. Right wing back. They don't own him yet. I believe he's still technically on Atalanta at this point. 35-40 million is kind of what's being tossed out there. Inter linked, Milan linked, Juve linked, kind of everywhere. For me, that's a lot of money. I think personally, we've seen young Italian wingbacks do well. I mean, I'm talking about Bellanova, who has so far Palestra has not surpassed what he did on Torino. He hasn't surpassed what Nadir Zortea did last year on Cagliari.
Although he's well on his way.
He's well on his way, yes.
Zortea.
I will definitely say that. And he's way younger. I mean, he's 20. Zortea's 26. So my big thing with Palestra is, if you haven't watched him, definitely watch him. Number 2, I think people need to rein it in a little bit. They're saying he needs to be a lock for the national team. I think he deserves a shout. I think he should probably make the team at this point. And he's going to be very good, and continue to watch him. I think we just got to rein it in. 35 to 40 mil is a lot of money to be thrown out there.
I don't disagree with you, but the trajectory that I see Palestra on right now is that of Udogie. Not only in the play style, but I just think that the timeline that he's on, I think that this is an Udogie type player. And I think that the media has now caught on to that, which is now inflating the price, because you now see what Udogie can be. Right now, I don't think he's as good as Udogie was when he left Serie A. Actually, it's not that I don't think he isn't. But this is kind of where they're seeing him go. Again, like you said, it's on the backdrop of seeing a lot of very young wingbacks here in Serie A do very well. Cambiasso for a bit of time there. We talk about Bellanova all the time. Zortea, Bogey. So it's just, I think the press is feeding into the what could be here, but the product on the field right now, no, is not 35-40, but it's what the potential could be. It's the ceiling.
Yeah. Then the other guy I want to talk about is Sebastiano Esposito, who is Pio Esposito's brother. I've been talking about him the whole season. I will say I'm the only one that's been talking about him. He now has 4 goal contributions on the season, which is more than his brother, Pio Esposito. Granted, he's played a lot more games, but I think this is a guy that has not been talked about enough, kind of has been overshadowed by his brother. They both technically play for Inter still. Sebastian is just on loan at Cagliari. They opted to keep Pio this year. But if you haven't watched him, completely different player. More of like a number 9 that can run into the channel, can run into wide areas, link up play. I could probably play as a winger if he really needed him to, but he's really heating up now. And when you look at his brother, true number 9, like hold center of the field, big guy, gonna do that kind of things. And Sebastiano is quick, athletic, like can do a lot of different things. And honestly, the reason I kind of want to highlight this is I see a world where the two of them play together up top at Inter, because I think they would actually complement each other extremely well. And that would be pretty insane. But this is just another guy that I think if people aren't watching, it's time now.
Yeah, that's an insane potential pairing.
It could happen. He's very similar to those guys.
I don't think that we've seen that ever happen before, but more so than that, I think that it's very interesting for the national team.
Yeah, true.
And what that could
Good point.
bring, especially if they're both playing at Inter and they're both playing the national team and they're brothers.
That'd be electric.
Come on, that would be insane. But no, this Cagliari
forgot
team.
to mention one thing. Fuck, Gaetano popped the tarp when he scored. I forgot to mention that. I always try to.
He did pop.
Whenever
the tarp.
I see it, I gotta say it.
We do love a good. Is it a pop tarp?
Yeah, pop tarp. Tarp popped.
Tarp pop.
Yeah,
pop the tarp.
Pop tart.
In any case, I give your flowers to Vos here. He has been talking about Cagliari since the beginning of the season and has been right. He has been right. And I think that there's another team that another person on this pod has been right about so far. And that is me. That is me, and that is Roma. Roma have dropped 3 of their last 5 games. First time they've dropped 2 games in a row in Serie A since, I think, the first time in 2025 was the stat I read. Listen, I'm going to say something. I'm going to walk myself back here, but this is what I've been saying about Roma.
Yeah.
They don't have a statement win. They don't have their lineup figured out. They don't have an identity out on the pitch, and I don't think that their defense is that good. Okay, so this was a culmination these last couple of games of this Roma team has holes and they have been propped up, and that this is not a Scudetto winning team. Now, don't get me wrong. They're 4 points off the top. They're in 3rd or 4th. It's not the end of the world. They can easily turn this around. You made this point actually, no, you made this point here, but Gasparini's Atalanta went through funks quite often, and it's pretty much happening again, right?
I think is it happening again is really it. I think it's too early to say. Like, you can lose 2 games in a row.
No, of course, and that's why I'm walking myself back. Yeah. I'm just going to take my flowers while I can before they turn it around and they're great again. But I think that at the end of the season we're going to come back and look at this 2-game stretch here and be like, is this where they lost the Scudetto? And maybe that's the case.
Good point.
Maybe that's the case because it's a very tight race there at the top. I said it on the opener that it's starting to look like a 3-horse race here, and Roma unfortunately is playing themselves out of that horse race. I don't think it's over by any means, but we've got a lot of work to do on this Roma side.
Yeah, I mean, from a Gasparini perspective, I think that the funk thing is really important because that's why Atalanta did not win any Scudetto. And going back to last year, like, they were very much in it, but they had 2 or 3 like spells where they played bad for like a month, and I don't know why it happens. And it has consistently happened under Gasparini. You've now lost to Napoli, which by itself is fine. Like, you lost 1-0 to Napoli. You cannot then go to Cagliari and lose the game. Like, you need to get points out of that game. And I think there are other managers that would understand that. Now, looking ahead, you've got Celtic at midweek, which is not an easy game by any means.
They always play the European games hard, Celtic does.
Yeah, I mean, there's good football club. And then you have Como, Juve, Genoa in a very bad time to play Genoa because they're playing really good, scoring a lot of goals. Plus, DDR is going to get the boys fired up for that one. Yes, and then you have Atalanta after that. So you have a stretch of games where if you're in a funk, you're going to drop points left and right, and they need to figure it out. The other thing, I might be the only one thinking this. I cannot wrap my head around playing Baldanzi as the number 9. Like, it doesn't compute with me. I think it looks terrible on the field. I think it looks terrible on paper. I'm not sure why that's continuing to happen, especially when Ainaoui is healthy and he's kind of played in forward areas before. Leon Bailey isn't fully healthy, but you can play him. El Shaarawy is somehow not really playing a lot. Baldanzi isn't the guy to play the number 9. I just don't get it.
No. There's so many other options.
If Roma fans disagree with me, I'm happy to hear them out. But I don't know what he does for the team to say, like, let's play him there. Like, he's not really a goal scorer. He's not really creative. He's obviously not back to basket. He's not fast. He's not going to stretch the play. Like, why are you playing him there? Get somebody else in there that can do something that causes a problem, whether it be stretch the field, whether it be a big body, just throw in there. Like, that's not the guy to fix this issue.
Also, is Ferguson hurt?
He's been in and out. He has been hurt. So I think they're a little bit worried about that. It's the same thing with Bailey and El Shaarawy.
Sure, you're a little worried about that, but at the same time, it's like, is Ferguson for 90 minutes not going to at least give you a couple of, let me spook the defense a little bit over Pizzilli? I'm sorry, over Baldanzi?
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I'm
saying like that's got that
more than Baldanzi for sure.
Even out of form is going to be much more dangerous in that position.
Well, to be honest with you, I think my number 1 pick would be playing Pizzilli as a 9. Like, it sounds crazy, but for what they're trying to achieve in like man-to-man pressing, Pizzilli makes a lot of sense when you think about it like that. Like, ton of energy, big guy, can receive the ball back to goal, obviously not like a creative force, but it's something different. It's what did I always say about like when I was watching a lot of Premier League? A pressing 10. You're basically that, but you're just playing him a little bit further up the field. And Gasperini must just hate this guy. That's the only thing that makes sense that we haven't seen him. But Roma's got a lot to figure out. This was a game, we said they needed a statement game. This was like whatever the reverse of that would be.
Complete opposite.
Like it set them back. Now, like they're below Milan still. They're taking a lot of steps back from it.
Well, and again, like you said, it's not that losing to Napoli is the end of the world, but it's the combination and the form that they're in,
right?
And
exactly.
the road ahead, and the road ahead that they don't really have an opportunity for a gimme, right? And at this point, the way they're playing, there is no gimme games.
No, there's not.
I don't think there is a gimme game.
There hasn't been one
the
entire year. I mean, to your point, you've been saying this the whole year.
They haven't, but they haven't looked good in the games that they've won.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're definitely right. And now it's catching up to them. Like if you're putting up one goal, not really like conceding a lot of you are conceding chances. Like this kind of thing can happen.
So, it's exactly, I think, unfortunately, it's kind of the other side of the coin from Milan where they're not getting anything going. None of the luck is on their side. There is no magic happening, and they haven't had anything to build on. There's no momentum to build on here. So they do need, I think it'll only take one or two guys to really take this team by the horns and show up on the field and play really well and bring everybody else with them. But there's nobody doing it. No one's doing
Other
it.
Than, I would say Sule is kind of it.
Sule, sure.
He's even definitely had a little bit. Yeah.
A good form. But, last year, the guy that was doing that was Kone. And we haven't seen anything out of him. And he's in a great spot to be able to pull the team along with him, and he hasn't done that at all this season.
Yeah, agreed. Keep it going here. We had a lot of good games. Bologna went to Lazio this weekend as well. That game ended in a 1-1 stalemate. Goals from Gustav Isaksen and Sebastian Odgaard in this one in the 38th minute and 40th minute. So kind of like happened back to back. Very interesting. Other than that, I would say this game was for the most part a stalemate. There was a weird red card in the 80th minute. I thought Lazio was I would say Lazio was winning the game in my head. I could be thinking about it differently, but he got a straight red card in the 80th minute for allegedly saying to the ref, "You suck at your job." That is a pretty harsh straight red in my book. Like you can get a yellow for that, but come on, like you cannot give a straight red for that.
That's such a small-minded ref to take that comment.
Yeah, very weak-minded. So, on this one, Lugs, what do you think? Is this better result for Bologna or Lazio? I think it's pretty obvious, but just asking.
Mean, it's certainly a better result for Lazio.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't think it's close. I would call this a bad result for Bologna. Yeah,
I would agree. The stage Lazio is out, but yeah, I think let's start with Lazio then, because I think interesting for Lazio coming out of this one. I don't want to call it a resurgent or a surge just yet, but it seems like it's might close. Be surging.
They're charging up. They're charging up. And when we did our report card episodes a couple weeks back, my whole thing with Lazio is I don't know who this team was. I didn't know what they were trying to do. And they're moving in a direction where you're starting to see it. And again, a lot of that has to do with injuries, but you can kind of see this team coming together. Sarri's got a better hold of them. Isaksen, I think, is a huge addition to this lineup and getting regular minutes, which we talked about before. But I mean, it's still not I still don't love this Lazio team. I don't think that it's amazing by any means, but I do think that they've set themselves up incredibly well for a Ravella return and for them to make a push for maybe the last spot in the European competitions for next year. But I don't foresee this team. I think that's their ceiling. It's probably sixth.
Yeah,
in my mind.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I mean, I think they need a transfer window. It depends who they keep. I still think Mario Gila is going to go for big money in summer, so that's going to be a big hole they're going to have to replace. When Ravella does get back, we'll have like 100%. Here's what their best 11 looks like. But I think your point about Isaksen is important. I mean, you said it at the beginning of the year. I don't want to say this just yet, but I'm a little bit leaning towards bring Pisacane out to pasture, and I've been kind of championing him. I just think Isaksen is kind of like an injection. I think you can't really drop Consigliere because I think he's been good. Like Pisacane is a captain, so I don't know. It's a very bad decision to have to make, but I think that could actually make them a lot better in a lot of different ways. But I don't know. I think this Lazio team is going to surge, though. I think Maurizio Sarri is figuring this out now. He's kind of found how he can get goals. The defense has actually been pretty good, I think. Obviously, I hate Marusic, and they need to improve there, but they don't really have a choice at this point at right back. But this team's getting dangerous at this point.
Yeah, it's not a gimme. Like I would think of the first.
Yeah,
I would say the first like 10 games of the season. If I saw Lazio, it's kind of a gimme.
Yeah, last 3 games. I mean, lost to Milan 1-0 at the San Siro, then beat Milan at home, and then tied Bologna at home. Like it's not bad. Like, you can't be mad about that for the position that they're in.
No, what you can be mad at is Bologna absolutely showing me up after I put my full cards behind them.
They play bad
and playing really bad. I do think that this is a case of this isn't the team's problem. This is literally one guy that's been mucking it up, and Casale has been horrible. Left center back, like really. It was
right center back.
Fucking
terrible.
Like really, really bad. It makes me think of how bad Milan's right back situation was and how that brought our entire team down. Casale has brought this Bologna team down. Lucami needs to get back into this lineup, but this one doesn't worry me. It's not, I'm not happy about this result if I'm Bologna, but it's not a worrisome game for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the Cremonese one was 100% Casale's fault. And I would say like this game also partially his fault, not fully. You just got to shake it off. I still like Bologna. I think that the way that they play, like they're less reliant on individuals. Obviously, Orsolini has been very important in scoring a lot of goals, granted, like also a lot of penalties. So I just think this team is built for like, if somebody's not playing well, we have the other guys. That being said, I think the Moro-Pobega midfield partnership has kind of run its course. And I think Pobega's been very good. I think Moro's been very good at times, but they need one of Freuler or Ferguson back to keep this going. And I think they're fully capable of finishing in that 5th place spot. But without either of those guys, it's a little bit more problematic.
This Bologna team screams the same thing that Atalanta screamed for me last year. Like Atalanta was firmly the 3rd best team in this league. Bologna is firmly the 5th best team in this league.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
I think that's where they're going to shake out. But yeah, I agree. The Forler comment, the Ferguson comment, for sure. I also think that Castro could be a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, he needs to start banging in goals. Yeah,
the fact that he's really their only true 9. But again, I think that this is a non-factor. It's just a matter of can they figure out that one center back hole, which has been obviously incredibly problematic. We're moving on to another team that has holes everywhere, and they shouldn't. But that is Fiorentina. Again, the last team in the league to not have a single win. We're at Sassuolo over this past weekend. They dropped 3 more points. They go down 3-1. I'm just gonna make a quick comment on Sassuolo that I know that we both agree on, and we can talk a little bit more about Fiorentina as we conclude this episode or get to the end. Sass are good.
Yeah,
Sass are good.
Sass are very good.
Sass is a quality side. Sass is not a team that you're going into and thinking that this is going to be a walk in the park. They are incredibly lethal. We've said it almost every episode. They are lethal up front. But you've made this point a couple of times now that their defense is shaping up, which I can certainly agree with. I think it's just that's how you say his name.
He's now linked everywhere.
He's linked everywhere. Your boy is
Mrhamovic is also really
Kone.
good. I think he's technically owned by Juve though, which is why I don't think he's linked places yet.
Oh well, he'll be sold.
But that's like that's a dominant center back pairing now. And then Kone scored in this one, and Mrhamovic scored in this one.
Right. So I think very quickly, it's Sass are good. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and the just last thing I want to say is Volpato and Federa. They were the guys who replaced Berardi and Loriente. Loriente's come back into the team. Federa's been dropped. Berardi hurt. Volpato playing 0 drop-off pretty much in form, I would say. Since Volpato's come to the team, 1 goal, 3 assists last 5 games. It's just like
beautiful.
They just keep coming. This is how you build a good team to compete in Serie A.
Which really brings us to Fiorentina. And it's going, I think this is the first game where the entire league is now looking at La Viola and thinking, are they really going to get relegated? Are they truly going to go down? And I have nothing else to say than they might.
They might.
They might. 6 fucking points, Vos. 6 points, bottom of the table. It's unimaginable how bad this team has been given the caliber of player they have on this roster, given what we know about Vanoli, even though it's only been a couple of games with him at the helm. This is an anomaly of galactic proportions.
Can we call it an anomaly now though? Like, is it the team?
The season as a whole is an anomaly, I would say. But to your point, what's the big difference between this year and last year?
Yeah, and this is what I said. This is what I said at the beginning of the year that you guys pushed back on me on. I said Moise Kean is not going to be nearly as good as he was last year. And last year, how many goals did he score? Like 18? I don't have it pulled up. Yeah, he had crazy goals. And what I said at the beginning of the year is a lot of those goals came from low percentage shots, like in crazy fluke goals that went in. He was getting very lucky. This season, he has 2 goals on 7 XG. So that basically tells you 2 things. He's either taking a ton of low percentage shots, which he is. I think he has the most shots in the league by anybody. And he's also not converting any of them. So those kind of crazy shots are no longer going in. So I think part of this question is, was Fiorentina even as good as we thought they were last year when they came in? I think they finished 6th last year. Yeah. So they finished 6th place last year. Was that in itself kind of an overperformance on the back of Moise Kean just overperforming? And if you take out Moise Kean, if you even, let's say he scored 15 goals or 14 goals, where do they finish? And are we actually seeing like a reversion to the mean with this team in that Moise Kean kind of propelled them to a place they shouldn't have been in? And now they've kind of reinforced the squad, assuming that Moise Kean continues to do that and try to do things around him. Because what I would say is we need to reassess how we feel about Fajoli. I think he's been very bad for this team and doesn't really do anything for me anymore. Gudmundsson and Piccoli have not been good. This game, De Gea let in a horrible goal, although I'm not going to say anything bad about De Gea for the most part, because I think he's been their number one player, aside from maybe Mandragora. But like, is Luca Ranieri, Pablo Mari, Camuzzo / spacing out on his name?
Well, VT hasn't even been playing.
Yep, VT hasn't. No, the other guy.
They have VT,
the guy that you hate. I'm spacing out.
Pongracic.
It's like
he's terrible.
Is that a bad defense? Like Pablo Mari was the guy that was center back for a Monza team that got relegated and got sold in January. So it's like, are they just not that good? Are we wrong?
I think we were fucking wrong from the beginning of the season. Reversion to the mean to me is harsh. It's far too harsh. They are a top 10 team in this league on paper.
I would think so too.
There's a couple of things that, certainly have changed over last season, and obviously Moise Kean's effectiveness has gone away. Inability to lean on the wingbacks for whatever reason, they haven't done that at all this year, which was a huge part.
Gozens has been hurt a little bit, which is not helpful.
Gozens has been hurt, but they haven't even it hasn't even been accentuated, right? Like they haven't leaned into that position, which they did a lot last year.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
The other thing is that, every single game last year we were thinking, okay, they're finally going to get a little bit of help as soon as Gudmundsson, gets back from injury, but he's been back and he hasn't been that great.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like, that we just have to completely reevaluate the expectations that we have set for these players, and maybe on paper they aren't that good.
Yeah,
that might just be the bottom line.
If I'm Vanoli, I'm at the point where like
be careful what you say. He's been on the job for 3 days.
I know that is true, but I just feel I actually don't think the thing is since Vanoli has taken over, I don't think they've been bad. They've gotten a little bit unlucky. I like the formation, but I feel like they're at the point now where you need to change your mentality to like we are good and can try to win games. So we have to stop losing. Like we need to get 1 point out of like a SAS. Like SAS is better than us this year. Park the bus, get all these guys out of there, get runners into the team, and just hope that Moise Kean can steal you a goal here and there. Because if you keep losing games, you are going to get relegated. You need to start getting points, 1 point against these guys that are better than you this year. Like you're at that point now.
They just need to stay up, and I don't know how they do it. I mean, you kind of just alluded to the fact that they leak goals, but let's not forget that there are 3 teams that they've scored more goals than, and that's Parma, Lecce, and Pisa. And they've scored the same amount of goals as Verona. Now this is shaping up to be
bad. This is shaping up to be a huge
problem. But this is an astronomically bad problem if they do get relegated based on the amount of money that they've poured into this team over the last couple of seasons. Like this is like bankruptcy.
If you're every other club in Serie A, you're like, oh my God, if they get relegated, we are going to pick them apart for no money.
Pick them apart.
Kean, Gudmundsson, Piccoli, Soam, Fajoli, Mandragora, Dodo, Gozens, Parisi, De Gea, Camuzzo. Like literally nobody's going to stay on this team. No. And they're going to go for pennies.
And they're probably going to be good after, though.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. We shouldn't be reevaluating because I still think these guys are good.
They are good. I agree. All right, let's hear. We're going to fly through the rest of this, actually, luckily.
Here we go. Ready. 3, 2, 1, and let's go.
All right, craziest result of the weekend. Atalanta dropped 3 points to Verona, who get their first win, 3-1 win. Mist or smoke covering the field. Like I literally didn't watch it. It got so bad. And this one, Giovanni scored, Bernardet scored, Scamacca scored, Bogali scored. They're still in 19th place, so I'm not going to say everything's going well. But one thing our Calcio Culture scouting department has gotten right is Giovanni. Of Verona's 11 goals, he has been involved in 7 of them.
He's quality.
Keep leaning on that guy. He's good. Other things on Atalanta, Palladino 3-2 since taking over. The 2 losses were Napoli and now Verona. Not too early to judge, right?
Too early. And that's 3-2 in Serie A, no?
Yes, just in Serie A, correct.
Because let's not forget that they did have a Champions League win. That was a pretty defining win, and
Is
they
it
had
in
a
Serie A?
Coppa Italia win as well.
I'm double
So
checking myself.
they went 3 in a row, regardless of the 3-2 stat. They went 3 in a row before going into this Verona team. They should be beating Verona regardless of what they did the prior 3 games, but just saying that I thought Palladino was actually getting some momentum
Yeah,
for this team.
I agree with you.
And,
That was all comps. That was all comps. I just checked.
okay. So 3-2 since he's taken the helm. Again, 3 in a row, and I think those were 3 quality wins.
Yeah.
But no rest for the weary. They've got Chelsea next in the Champions League, and then to round out the calendar year, they've got Cagliari, who we just slopped all over. They've got Genoa, who I'll probably be slopping all over by the end of that game, and then Inter as their last game of 2025. So Palladino, again, no rest. I think he's doing an okay job. He's got a great roster, and I think that Atalanta will be just fine going into 2026.
All right, and to round it out here, Cremonese beat Lecce 2-0, goals from Sanabria and Bonazzoli. Back-to-back wins for Cremonese, now in 9th place. Insane.
Dude, Cremonese, man.
Yeah,
Cremonese. I love this team. It's a Vardy party all over the place.
Parma beat Pisa 1-0, and Zola had a crazy red card in like the 95th, and then it just kicked
so bad
the absolute dick out of some guy for no good reason that I can tell. Now you're suspended and you're the team's best player, so that's really idiotic. That is a student out of the week candidate, actually, now that I'm thinking about this.
I'm surprised that he wasn't listed.
Yeah. There was a lot of candidates this week. And then the last game, Genoa at Udinese. Genoa won this one 2-1. Goals from Malinowski, Norton Cuffy, and then on Udinese's side of things, Petrovsky. Udinese have now dropped 3 of their last 5, which is significant. I think this is a not great Udinese team right now, I would say. Like
when Zaniolo doesn't play well, Udinese doesn't play well.
Yeah, true.
That's just
good
how
point.
This goes.
Very good point. And then on the Genoa side of things, like this DDR, Genoa is good. 0-2 in the last 5, 9 goals in 4 games, although they are conceding some. But this is a step in the right direction for this Genoa team, and they are now in 14th place. Like
DDR has done more with this Genoa team than Fiorentina might do the entire season.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And I mean, that's a really exciting one. They're going to play Roma in a couple weeks. Hats off to DDR. Period.
They got a cool schedule, Genoa. They got a good couple of games to prove themselves. They got Atalanta, they got Roma coming into the end of the year, so it'll be interesting to see what De Rossi is able to do in some bigger games.
All right, cool. That wraps up match week 14. Couple quick things that I just wanted to bring to people's attention this week. We do have a player of the week from me. I don't know if you have one. You don't want one?
Christian Pulisic.
Yeah, this is kind of a random player of the week for me, but I'm giving it to Elmas. Really interesting. So I just think his story kind of came full circle here. So he won Serie A with Napoli in 2022-2023. And at that time, he was like kind of still an up-and-coming young player. Like people were really excited about him. Have been playing winger for Napoli, for a couple seasons. He was there for like 4 or 5 years, basically. Played really well, won it there. Then in the really bad Napoli season that followed, he didn't really play much. Ultimately went to RB Leipzig for 2 seasons. Kind of fell off the face of the earth, I would say, right? Like switched to more of an attacking midfielder, was there for 2 years. Then last year was on Torino, was more of an attacking midfielder, and now has come back to Napoli and has been forced to play as number 10. He's played winger at times, and now in this game forced to play as that low-lying midfielder and did it phenomenally well. And I just think that whole story is incredible. He's still only, I think he's 26. Like he's been around for so long, but is still like has more to give. And now all of a sudden, like this is a guy that's probably going to play a lot in that role. And regardless of as people get healthy, he's probably going to keep playing. So I just think it's an interesting player of the week for me.
That brought a tear to my eye. That was quite emotional. That was well done. Well done. Paisans, listen, a couple Stunads of the week. We've got Alexi Salamakers and Muric. What did Salamakers do?
Salamakers vile behavior today.
Vile's the right word.
He's got fouled today in the Milan game and was flopping around like a fucking idiot. Like it was idiotic. It was so painful to watch. It was actually cringy to watch.
Horrible stuff.
And then our other student out of the week, Sassuolo's goalie Muric. He went to punch a ball on a cross and just like did not come close to it and just punched the fuck out of Parisi and like fully got 0 ball. Like strictly punched him. He was fully like in his sight. I don't know how he like didn't like see that this was gonna happen and he just followed through. It was horrible.
Kind of love that actually.
Double student out of the week here. Double student out of the week.
Kind of love that. But no, we do love our students of the week. So congratulations, Salamakers and Muric. Paisans, there is Champions League this week. There is Serie A next weekend. It's as easy as that. But really quickly, we've got Pisa going to Lecce, Cremonese going to Torino, Lazio at Parma, Cagliari at Atalanta, Sassuolo's going to San Siro playing Milan, Verona going to Fiorentina, Napoli has Udinese, Inter is going to Genoa, Juventus to Bologna, and I think that's it, but maybe ESPN dessert. And then we got the game of the week to round it out. Como going to Stadio Olimpico playing Roma to see if they can get back on track. Paisans, with that lineup, you know what we can do with it. You know what that slate brings. The Kopi is back. Kopi is back. Listen, guys, Mas isn't here to be shamed, but Vos and I are hot.
Yeah, we
2
are
of
hot.
2, both
We're
of
very
us
hot.
in our last Kopi picks, hoping to keep it going and hoping that Mats isn't a gagoots and picked the wrong thing this week. But Vos, who do you got in this weekend?
Yeah, I'm taking Napoli at Udinese. I think Udinese bad. I think Napoli good. Odds -115. Screams trap bet, but we're going to follow the trap because we're hot and we're going to go 3 in a row for Vos. -115.
It does scream. It does sound like a trap bet, but the maths.
Yeah, math.
2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah, correct.
Napoli wins this game. I'm going opposite. I'm actually going against the math this week, and I'm taking Fiorentina. Taking Fiorentina money line. Again, they are playing
Verona.
Somebody bad. Verona
at home.
In theory, the math works out. If you derive the math here, Fiorentina on paper good, Verona in real life bad.
I mean, the other thing with this game that is extremely important is these are the bottom 2 teams. So like
relegation battle
does wonders for you here.
Yeah. This is -130. I think this makes sense. I think this is where Fiorentina they have to. Honestly, this is the barometer. If I don't get the Colby leg this week, then hammer Fiorentina to get relegated.
True.
That's how this works. And then classic Mott's going with classic Juve money line +145
at Bologna.
They got Bologna this week.
At Bologna. This is the worst bet of the year.
That's a bad leg, Motts.
This is the worst bet of the year.
I don't know how he came upon that. I actually do. He's a gagoots and just loves the Bianconeri. But in any case, Paisans, you know the drill. You bet the Colby, you bet each individual leg. We make you money. You come back to the next episode happy as can be while it's fat, and hopefully your team also won. But with that, Paisans, thank you for staying tuned all the way through. Bose and I had an incredible time wrapping up this match week 14. Very much looking forward to match week 15 as we do go through this week. We got a little bit of Champions League in between. You guys know what the deal is, though. We are growing. 2025 has been an immense year for Calcio Culture. Thank you for coming along for the ride. We'll be sure to share some stats come 2026, but we need you to follow, like, subscribe, comment, 5 stars. We need it all. We really appreciate everybody who has been interacting with us. We try our best, and I don't think we've ever missed. We like all of our comments, unless you're shitting on me.
We owe a Paisan an email. I will get you. I'm sorry.
We will reply to your email. We do apologize, but in any case, guys, keep following, keep liking, keep subscribing. We're on all the socials at Calcio Culture FC on TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube, and of course, where you're listening right now on all your favorite streaming sites, Spotify and Apple Pods. Mott's not here, so Vos, take us away.
I don't even remember what he says. Paisanos, do not be a gagoots, and Forza Calcio Culture.
Well done.